Did you then feel maybe slightly overlooked by the judges?
Yeah, totally. And I felt like I was getting a very underdog storyline. It was so frustrating.
One time in a Roscoe's viewing party, you talked
Oh
about
God.
an experience with season 4 winner Sharon Needles, and
Uh-huh.
you said there was like some kind of altercation with your mother and her, like getting pushed up against a wall by Sharon.
I was hosting a show, and so I brought my mom upstairs, and Sharon came out of her dressing room and like pushed my mom up, and my mom fell over, and I went totally berserk because it's my mom and I love her, and Boa tripping me in the rehearsal, honey. It was for the rap battle challenge, and there was just a certain foot that was stuck out that wasn't stuck out when the cameras were rolling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back for some more freshly brewed drag tea. Today, I have with me a stunning circus freak queen who graced our screens when she competed on season 1 of Canada's Drag Race. I'm super excited for you all to get to know her better and learn more about her amazing journey in drag. We'll, of course, be talking all things Drag Race, and I'll be asking some of the amazing questions you all sent in. Please join me in welcoming the always entertaining Scarlett BoBo!
Hello, how are we, everybody?
Hi, how are you?
I'm so good. I'm tired from DragCon, but she's living, and we're here. We're here, and we're gonna kill this.
Yeah, so I had the pleasure of meeting you recently at DragCon, which was lovely.
Yeah,
How was it from your side?
it was amazing from my side. I had such an amazing time. It was so cool. I got to meet so many amazing fans, and the UK fans just hit different. There's something about them that just really hit you harder. And yeah, it was just great. Everyone was in a good mood. I got to meet some of my favorite girls. I got to chill with all my sisters that I haven't seen in a long time. So it was amazing. How was your experience?
Yeah, it was great. It was my first DragCon, so I didn't really know what to expect necessarily. But no, it was really fun. It was lovely getting around the queens and seeing everyone, meeting them in person like you and everything. It was really cool to actually meet the people that you really like on TV and you admire their talent. You see them in real life. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, so thank you for being here for this interview. I know my audience was very excited to hear from you.
Oh, yay.
I think you were very popular on your season and people really loved you and sort of because you went so far and you did so well. I think you're one of those people that people always expect to pop up in an all stars sometime. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I was wondering if we could sort of go back to the start a little bit and maybe if you could sort of just tell us a bit how you got involved in drag, how you got started in drag.
Yeah. So I'm from Ottawa originally, and I started doing drag, oh my goodness, 2007, maybe, like a long time ago. And I would go to drag shows and I would like see like kind of like goofy drag, and I didn't really understand what I was looking at. I was like 16 years old, 17 years old, sneaking into the gay bars in Toronto, or no, in Ottawa rather. And then I saw this one Korean Robin DeCradle, and she was so amazing. I think she was doing like Janet Jackson, and she was just slaying and popping and splitting. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? Is this also drag? And then I just kind of like tried it one day for Halloween. Me and my mom went out. I went out as a slutty nurse, as one does. It was their first time in drag on Halloween. And I fell in love with it. And I started doing shows here and there. And then after the show started, I really, really, really just got right into it. And I was just doing just doing it for fun. And then moving to Toronto, I realized like, oh, I can make a living out of this. Like this is something I can make a career out of. And the rest is history.
Yeah, it very
No,
much.
really, it's
Yeah, so no, it's a really fun story, and it's very I think that's how a lot of people get started. Is sort of they test the waters a little bit, do a party, and then realize they like it, and then obviously you had a natural talent for entertaining, and that's why we all loved you. So where does your name come from then?
my name comes from Jeanette Bobo. She started the Bobo family, I don't know, 35 years ago, 40 years ago. She passed away right before I got on Drag Race, but she was kind of like all of our, like, there's many Bobos out there. I think I'm just the only one that's still doing it, really. Um, and so I've got lots of sisters and aunties and cousins and nieces, I think. I don't know. There's the drag family system is hilarious and confusing all at the same time. And so her last name was Bobo, so I took it because it was a family name. And then Scarlett was just, I don't know. I like red. I like Scarlett Johansson, kind of like Scarlet Letter. And then Scarlett seemed really sexy and sultry, and Bobo is like silly, clown, funny. So I kind of want, which is both very my two personalities, stupid, sexy clown. So so it kind of just worked out.
Yeah, but I mean, it worked. Like you said, it's like the sexy part and then the clown part. And one part, sort of talking about the clown part, you sort of described yourself on Drag Race as being like the clown, the drag clown, and everything.
My name is Scarlett BoBo, and I'm your favorite circus freak.
I feel like some people in the comments, in the questions for you, kind of also mentioned that we didn't necessarily get to actually see that much of that side of you in a way. Like, so I think some people wondered, did you want to show more of that kind of circus freak energy, but maybe it just didn't work in Drag Race, or they wouldn't let you do stuff? Because I know you do quite a lot of like cool circus style entertainment stuff.
Yeah, I really wanted to show more of my circus background. Like, I do aerial silks, I swallowed fire in the show. I was able to do I've got like another little persona, Bobo the party clown. And so I was able to show her off a little bit on episode 3 when I had my little, that's actually funny that you said that because I'm literally wearing the shirt. When I got to do like my kind of like little clown look, but I really wanted to showcase it more. And I don't know, I think the themes and the runways and just didn't fit in. And I wasn't allowed to do aerial silks. I wasn't allowed to do a few things. I was barely allowed to do my fire. I had to beg them to let me do my fire. So hopefully when I'm on next, you'll see much more of Bobo the party clown.
Yeah, because it's really interesting, because I feel like when we think of clowns on especially Canada's Drag Race, people maybe think of someone like Jimbo, but not necessarily you, even though that's a really big part of your personality. And I think it was only when reading more about you and like when I was researching you, I then realized how much of this circus stuff you do that we didn't get to see on Drag Race. And I was like, oh, I wish you could have done that. That looked so, like, I'm sure you'd so cool if you'd have done that.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. And that's what me and Jimbo got along so well. Because when Jimbo walked in the workroom, I was like, a clown. Everyone else was like, what's that? And I was like, my new best friend. And me and Jimbo really got on, because as soon as she saw me putting on my clown face, she was like, wait, are you a clown too? And like Jimbo's like clown in like the classic sense. Like, she went to clown school. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like the party clown, like the circus freak. Like, so we were different but similar. And you know what I mean? Like, the way we kind of clown around. And like I'm more of like the kind of like little circus freak in the back of the circus tent kind of thing. You know what I mean? And she's like the juggler, and like, we're kind of like, we're the yin and yang, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you two definitely gave off really like kind of similar vibes in the sense that you both do clown, but in a different way. And I think, yeah, like we didn't get to necessarily see that much of you two interacting in in that way, but it's fun to hear that you did have that kind of connection that maybe we didn't see.
I know, I was surprised at that, because we got on so good. Like, we became best friends on the show, and we're still best friends now. And Jimbo is one of the best, to me, I would say one of the best things that ever happened from Drag Race, because I love that clown so damn much. But yeah, you actually, like, watching it back, you don't actually see us interacting a whole lot. And that's what's funny doing the puppet challenge, like when she stuffed my cheeks, and like she knew all my mannerisms and all my like gimmicks, so like all like how I am so well. And everyone was like, oh yeah, how did she know like Bobo that well? I guess they just didn't really show us interacting a lot on the show. I didn't really think about that.
No, it's true. I guess they only can show so much, but it's interesting what they keep in and what they don't keep in.
Yeah, I think it's because of me and Alona were like the sissies, so like they really like leaned into that kind of that kind of storyline. And Jimbo had her own storyline with Jeffrey on her own, so that took up most of the time.
Yeah, well, speaking of, I mean, so talking about Drag Race, obviously, I think that's what my audience will know you best from is season 1 of Canada's Drag Race. What did it feel like then when you found out that Drag Race was coming to Canada? And I assume, had you thought about auditioning before? And so as soon as it was announced, you were like, I'm definitely doing that? Or were you hesitant?
Yeah, I always knew that I wanted to audition for Drag Race, and I always knew it was something that was like the next step for me and what I wanted to do. But it was weird though. I remember I woke up in the morning and I was with my fiance in bed, and my two friends like burst into my room, and my mom was calling me, and my grandmother was calling me, and I'm like, "What is going on? Like, who died? Like, who? Like, what's happening?" And yeah, they were like, "Oh my god, like Drag Race is coming to Canada. You have to audition." And right away, I kind of like freaked out, and I was like, "Oh no, no, no! I'm not. I can't do that. I can't do that." And then I was like, "What am I talking about? I have to audition for this. I'm Scarlett BoBo. I need to totally kill this." And yeah, and then after that, it was just more excitement took over, and it became something that I really, really had to do, and I really wanted to do, and yeah, it was pretty cool, and I love to see how far it's going now, and I love Canada versus the World, and even shows like Call Me Mother, and I've got my own competition, Empire's Ball, which is a drag house competition. It's all like a live ice aspect to drag, and it's just so cool to see how much is coming out of Canada for drag right now. Like there's so many different drag elements coming out of Canada, and I love to see Canadian drag like on the rise, and to have all eyes kind of like on Canada drag. It was kind of like when UK Drag Race came out, and everybody was like wire focused on UK drag and what it's about and what UK's drag culture is like. And I think that's kind of like how it was when I was getting on Canada. All of a sudden, everyone was like, "Oh my god, those queens in Canada are pretty good."
I loved season 1. I thought it was so cool, and it was nice to see Canada being represented in that way. When you did get on, so what was it like then receiving the call and sort of walking into the workroom on that first day? Like, how did that all feel, thinking I am actually on the first season of Canada's Drag Race?
It was very nerve-wracking. When I got the call, I cried like a baby, of course. I literally like held it in for my mom for like 3 hours, and she came over to my house, and I was like, "I got a Drag Race." And she was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" And it was like this whole big cry fest, and the preparation was really hard. I got really sick during preparing for the show, and actually, I was sick right up until episode 1. I walked into that workroom like super, super, super sick, and but I remember just walking into that workroom and hearing the other girls like beside me, and just thinking like, "Holy, this is like day one drag. Like we're all on the same level. We're all on the same playing field. It doesn't matter what accomplishments you've done before this moment. It's Drag Race. It's a whole different game. There's so much more to it than I could have ever imagined." And so it was very, very shocking and nerve wracking, especially that episode 1 sewing challenge. I'm like, of course it's a sewing challenge, and I don't sew, and I'm gonna go home. And it's kind of like a sink or swim moment where you're like, well, either I do it or I don't. But then if I don't, I'm going home. So figure out how to do it, kind of thing. And that's kind of like was my mentality the whole way through. And I wish I feel like I wish you got to see more of my personality on the show, because I'm really funny. But I was so like wire focused on the finale, and I was so like I almost had like blinders on, and all I could see was the finish line. And so I feel like that almost bit me in the ass personality wise, I guess. Like because I was so like workhorse mode. Like I felt like I was in like pageant mode. And I was like, no one talk to me.
I think there's a few queens that I've seen on different franchises that said the same thing, that they got to the end, but they didn't necessarily showcase much of their personality, either because they were too focused or because the edit didn't give them the personality, because maybe there were other people that had a storyline that fit that what the Drag Race producers wanted. So then they got sidelined. In terms of obviously, so you, like you said, you walked in and you saw the other queens and everything. Did you know any of the other queens from before?
Oh yeah, like 80% of them. I was like, hey girl, he says, oh hey girl.
Was there anyone that you didn't know at all?
I didn't know Kine. I didn't know Jimbo. I didn't know Lemon. I think I knew pretty much everybody else. It was really crazy. Like we all, because a lot of the girls are from Ontario, and I've been around, I've been around Canada a lot. So I've met the girls, like I've met all the Montreal girls, and I never met Kiki, but I knew who she was, and so like I knew a lot of the girls just from me traveling around Canada.
Yeah, well, I think definitely from what we saw, when you walked in, the others were like, oh, like that's competition. Like people knew who you were. So
who, me?
Little old me.
I was like, what did I do to my hair? I was going like this. And I was like, I forgot the screen was opposite. And I was like, what's happening?
So in terms of speaking of kind of your relationship with the other girls, one thing that I always found quite interesting that they never really explained, so I'd love to sort of hear from you, was there was this storyline between, obviously you and Alona were like the sissies, like you knew each other and there was that kind of element to it. But they also had this thing that you and Boa had some like tensions and there were a few arguments and things. So some of my audience actually asked what is the relationship like between you two and what was the backstory? Because it kind of, they showed the arguments but never really showed why you were arguing.
What's going on with you? What's going on with us? I've been there for you this whole time, and I feel like every day you're just saying shady to me and just using me as target practice, and I don't know why you've just been coming at me.
Yeah, Bo is like one of my best friends now, but we had a complicated history. Like we were friends, and then we weren't friends, and then we weren't sure why we weren't friends, so we just like stayed not friends, and then we became friends again, and then we fought on the show, and then we were friends again, and then the show aired, and we watched our fights, and then we weren't friends again. Like so, it was just this like back and forth little like silliness, honestly, that like your typical local drag drama. You know what I mean? That we kind of just took with us onto the show. And we were just being little, but like I said, like it's like a pressure cooker. And I've said this many times. And when you're like put into this role and into this environment, and being thrown like wrenches, and then you're sleep deprived and you're cold and you're frustrated and you're stressed out. And then like one person like looks at you the wrong way and you're like, yeah, like, and so it was very much one of those situations.
Yeah, it's I guess it's like you said, it's a pressure cooker. They want you to do something because it's dramatic and it's,
Yeah.
So like you said, so you're friends now, but was there anything on the show, like when you watched back that sort of disagreement, was there anything or any background to those arguments that they didn't show that you did discuss that maybe we took out in the edit?
I don't know. What were we even fighting about? Oh, she tripped me during the rehearsal and she said she didn't, but I know she did. And I think that she was just comfortable with me, and I felt like, I don't know if she was comfortable or if she knew me the most and was like, I was like an easy target, but I felt like she kept kind of like nitpicking at me, and I had zero patience the whole the whole competition. So I was just like, I felt like a crazy person the whole time. I think Boa was just being Boa, and she just happened to be on the end of my crazy stick that day.
What was it like then watching yourself back on television? Do you agree with a lot of the stuff you did, or do you look back on it and do you sort of cringe at watching it like some people do?
Oh no, I don't cringe at anything. I was fabulous. Yeah, no, there's a couple times where I was like, that matching our Rainbow Railroad episode where our makeover episode, those bodysuits were cringe as, and I hated them so much. It was a last minute thing that we forgot about while doing my package, and I was like, the night before, I was like, we don't have the makeover outfits, and my designer was like, oh my god, and like just like we're grabbing like scrap fabric, like and threw something together. So that was, I think, like my most cringeworthy moment, were those goddamn Tanya Harding, figure skating looking bodysuits. But thank God I had those $2,000 Hendrix Road leather jackets, Teddy, or else I would have been going home that week.
Yeah, like I said, I think I wouldn't have even noticed. Like, I thought you looked good in that episode.
I hated them. I hate it. And then I had that big yellow hair, and then so everyone thought it was Lemon. And I was like, well, how was I supposed to know that this wearing all yellow was going to walk into the workroom?
Yeah, it's difficult. You don't know how it's going to be once you get on the show. You can just go with style.
Yeah.
So speaking of your style, though, so your fashion was always, I thought, really on point. You always looked really well put together. I think of all of the people, you were definitely, I can see why you got to the end, because you always looked very put together, very polished, very professional. How, in terms of your style, and how long did it take you to prepare for Drag Race, or how long did you get, I suppose, to prepare for Drag Race? And sort of, can you give us an idea about how much you spent? Not like an exact figure, but are we talking sort of like a lot of money because you made it, or did you make it yourself and you saved some money?
No, I spent quite a bit. Like, I spent all of my savings, and we were meant to move to Amsterdam right before I got on the show. We're saving up all of our money, me and my fiance, and he was getting his visa, and we were literally out the door, leaving Canada, going to Amsterdam, probably like maybe in like 2 months. And then we got the call that I was on Drag Race, and I was like, well, I'm gonna need all of these savings, and I'm gonna have to take them and put it towards this. But thankfully, I have an incredible costume designer, Jeff Christensen. He's amazing. He made all my outfits. Helena Poison, who is an incredible drag artist in Toronto, she helped me design my entire package. So I had a really good team of people just helping me out and kind of like keeping me focused and keeping me in my lane, because when I'm under pressure, I kind of like spiral the out. And I get all loopy and crazy and stressed out, and then I'm like, that's it, I'm gonna burn everything. So I was really excited that I had like a strong team with me to help get ready. And then, a couple of days before, my mom came over and she put everything in their bags. These earrings go with this hair, and this goes with this outfit. And My mom came over and organized like everything, vacuum sealed everything. It was hilarious. She's loving it so much. She was like, you're going into this so organized, so you're not going to be running around trying to find an earring when it's all in the same package. So I had everything like organized because of my mom.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Speaking of your mum, actually, so we are talking about your biological mother. You're not your like, drag mother.
Yeah.
And so from what I've seen, she's like super supportive of you and really sort of, is your biggest sort of supporter. One thing I was going to mention actually was, so a while back, I put one of my fun facts on Instagram was that you are the only person who got to the top, like into the finale, and only won their only challenge in the last episode. Like, you're the only queen that's ever done that. So I put this little post up on my Instagram, and your mother commented on it with all these other facts about you. So
oh my god, she's so extra. She's so funny though. Like, she loves it. Like, she thinks it's the coolest thing ever. She loves being Mama Bobo, and she's just such a hoot, man. She would do that. I didn't even know that, but she would do that. I'm not surprised at all.
Oh, but I think it's so sweet. And it's so lovely to hear that you got such a supportive mother. I know a lot, obviously people on Drag Race before have spoken about their families not being supportive. So it's really lovely that you've got that, you know.
Yeah.
In terms of your outfits, do you have a favorite that you wore?
I think my favorite was my denim or my just because I really liked all that blue and yellow, and I had denim. I even had denim Louboutins, girl. Okay. And I love my pageant look because everybody was like, "Oh, Bobo won't be able to do pageant. She can't do pretty." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, and I came out looking absolutely gorgeous. And but I still kept it me. I made sure no matter what, no matter what I was doing, even when I did Celine, I was looking at like more edgy Celine stuff, and I was like, no, I want to go soft. Like I want to look more soft, more just kind of more delicate, because I want to just show that I could do more than just like punk rock, Bobo, but still I wanted to make sure to keep it in theme with me. I didn't want to like back out of my theme. I didn't want to sacrifice any bit of like myself in just because they want me to do one thing doesn't mean I can't do what they want with what I want.
No, you always had your style, like you said. You were very punk rock and you always had that element to it, but you also showed that you were versatile, that you could do these glamorous looks while maintaining your style. And I think that's obviously what got you so far in the competition.
Hell yeah, being a power verse, honey. Let's go.
In terms of, so obviously you were there for every challenge, so we can't go through every week, otherwise we'd be here forever. In terms of your run on Drag Race, obviously you never landed in the bottom ever. You won one challenge, which was the last challenge, like I said, which was, I think it's the only contestant that's ever done that. Was there a particular highlight of a challenge that either you found the hardest but you still succeeded in, or was there a challenge that maybe you thought you were going to do well in but didn't?
I thought I was gonna kill more of the acting challenges. Well, actually, I did. There was that one acting challenge that was really frustrating because they stuck me and Alona together, and we had to like sing at the same time and do everything the same.
Someone should fall.
And we were like, how are we supposed to like show individual personality while being like identical? And that was really hard, I think, for the both of us. I really loved the rap battle challenge. That was one of my favorite weeks. I really wanted to win that week. But you know, Bianca was team captain. She deserved it. I was top two. I finally got my recognition. But I didn't realize how hard the choreography and everything would for that would be. But you know, Hollywood Jade, ma'am, she really knows how to get you, girl. Every time I saw her walking, or every time I saw her on the main stage, I was like, nope, I don't want to see her again because I know I'm going to be crying doing my choreography in the corner for the next 10 hours. But yeah, I was actually really shocked with the design challenge when I was with Maison Boraga, me, Rita, and Kiki. I was really impressed with what I was able to put together and what us as a team were able to put together. And obviously that last challenge, I can't believe I won a design challenge and I won them all. You know, that to me was really, really cool because I was at that point like just fighting so hard for a win. And I wanted to do something again so different in that last episode and that last runway, and it paid off. And it took Michelle Visage to come all the way from Drag Race US to Canada, so I finally won something. So thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say that earlier you said like you don't really sew and everything, because when you did your design challenge and you won, and also in the other one where you were in the Maison Baga, like that one, I actually thought you were a sewer. Like watching it, I was like, I thought you really were a designer.
No, I'm just a fraud. I'm great at tricking people. That's me.
Yeah, well, they say, what is it? if you've got it, flaunt it. If you don't, hide it, or whatever. It's kind of, you've done that, so you've managed to sort of get your way through it, even if you can't do it. You just do it so well that people are so blinded.
Yeah, I'm like, look at this amazing piece. Even if it's garbage, like I will sell the shit out of it. That's the one thing I can do. I could sell my ass, honey, for sure. It could look like a paper bag, but I'm like, yeah, but it's a paper bag from Fifth Avenue, from Saks on Fifth. Like, look at this paper bag. It's gorgeous.
So you definitely, you sold it. And one challenge I think that I was kind of surprised, because we hadn't necessarily seen that much like acting from you. We knew you were a climber, we didn't necessarily see that huge amount. So Snatch Game, I was quite surprised in a way, because obviously you did Liza, which is like this big character that so other people have done, and like I'm sure every drag performer has done a Liza at some point. But I thought you did actually such a good job, and it was, this isn't a read, but I was just like so surprised. I was like, oh wow, she's actually really selling this. And I thought choosing Liza would not be a good option for anyone, because it's quite hard to do. If you're not doing it really well, it's bad.
Yeah, and right away they're like, well, Alexis Michelle won her Snatch Game season as Liza. So already, like, you know, the pressure was on, and I was gonna do Fran Drescher, and I had to watch like every episode of The Nanny while getting ready for the show. And I had everything down pat, I had the voice down. And then as soon as the lights went on and the interview was starting with me, I was like, like I just like totally froze, and I couldn't find like the Fran Drescher, and then I had Amy Winehouse with me, but again, like I couldn't get the accent down, which I had before. And then Liza was my safety net, which I know I she's like the one character that I know I do really well. And so I was like, I'm not gonna take a chance during Snatch Game. Like, you know, because as we've seen in my season and in a lot of other seasons, sometimes you can fall really flat in Snatch Game. And if you f up Snatch Game, you're so I was like, you know what? This is the 1 week that I'm gonna be okay with playing it safe, because I didn't know what I was gonna get myself into, and I didn't know what Snatch Game was gonna be like. So I was like, I'm gonna go with something that I'm gonna be comfortable with.
Yeah,
and I love doing Liza. She's so kooky and she's so weird and she's so funny, and Liza's like a character in herself. So, you know, so I love doing my Liza.
Yeah, you did a really good job. You were really funny, and I thought you played well with the other people. Like you were you showed that you clearly have a good sense of humor. You can volley with people, so you did a really good job. Speaking of that, I suppose we've sort of touched on this before. We said you won your only challenge in the last episode, and you were always safe. One of the only queens to have ever done that. Was there a challenge then that you thought you should have won that you didn't?
Yeah, I totally thought I was gonna win that damn denim week for sure, because they were like, no, was it the denim? What was the challenge? Yeah, it was the denim. The denim week, I totally thought I was gonna win. I thought I did really good in that acting challenge with Alona and our infomercial, the law firm commercial. And they gave me like the best critiques on the runway. And then they were like, just kidding. And then I think it was the week after where it was me and Lemon in the top for the Little Miss Loose Jaw pageant. And they gave me the Scarlett BoBo this week. You were incredible. And you had a decision. Lemon, you're the winner. And I think that's when my Jan face came out. I was like, because they had really like built me up and they were getting me going. They're like, oh yeah, girl, you killed this. You were so good. You were amazing. And then they're like, just kidding. And I was like, ah! I thought I got torn the walls down on that place. And Lemon was like, sorry.
Well, yeah, no, it's tough. Like, there were definitely a few challenges where I was like, I thought you were going to win and you didn't. So I did. Yeah, you were kind of like the Canadian Jan.
Totally, girl. Yeah, without the voice, honey, without the voice.
Did you then feel maybe slightly overlooked by the judges?
Yeah, totally. And I felt like I was getting a very underdog storyline. And I was like, I have been doing this almost like other than Rita and Tainomi, I had been doing it the longest out of any of the girls. And I gave Priyanka like her start. I booked half the cast I'm working with, you know what I mean, at my different shows. And so I was just frustrated with this like underdog storyline they were trying to give me. And I was like, but I'm not an underdog. I used to be. And I just felt like it was very triggering because it felt like a lot of times in my drag, I have been overlooked and people have been like, oh, she's too edgy and she's too punk rock and she wears short hair, she doesn't wear hip pads, she has too many tattoos, she's too loud, she's too this, you know what I mean? And so I felt like quite triggered because I was like, not again. Like I've made it all the way here after 12 years of doing drag and and then this is happening. So it was so frustrating to have that storyline of my entire life carry on into Drag Race. And I think that's why I was getting so frustrated near the end. But then I let all my frustration out on the finale episode.
It's true. So speaking of the finale episode, so obviously, yeah, you got to the end, you had just come off a win. So you obviously got down to the final three and there was the lip sync off and everything, and you were against Rita and Priyanka. What did you think your chances of winning were?
I think it was whatever, like 3 divided by 3 is, or 3 divided, like 33 point. Yeah. I think that was the percentage that I thought I was going to win. Because that last episode, I remember we were all killing it. And even when we did our You Weren't Well challenge, I feel like it was the only episode that didn't feel like a competition anymore because we all knew what we brought to the table, the whole competition. We all knew that we were equally fierce competition between all three of us. And at that point, we kind of figured it was anyone's game. So let's just give them one hell of a show. And honey, we did that. We did the damn thing.
No, it's true. And one thing I actually wanted to ask you about that was, so Ilona Verley, who obviously was on your season, she did an interview with Joseph Shepherd on YouTube. And I thought it was quite interesting that she said something. She said that at the finale, because obviously all the eliminated queens were at the back of the stage, like they came back. She said that when you were doing the final lip sync, the final three, she said that pretty much everyone was shouting your name. So she was really surprised that you didn't win. She said basically in the room, it was actually your win. So I was just wondering what your thoughts on that were.
I'm not going to discredit Priyanka's win. She's done incredible things with her win, probably more than a lot of the winners of any Drag Race season, but that even Priyanka said that lip sync, I won that lip sync. You know what I mean? Like because I had lip syncs all season. It was like the first time you really got to see me pop off. And it was really funny. I watched that lip sync back, and I watched the You Are Well performance back a lot, just because it makes me really happy. And it's so funny because all you hear is Alona going, "Yeah, Sissy, Scarlett, yeah!" Like literally, you can hear it over the music. You can hear Alona screaming my name in the back, and it makes me laugh all the time. It's so funny. Yes, today! Like, and you can just see her just like screaming at the top of her lungs and just like, ah! Like if you like look at her in the back, it's so funny.
Yeah, you definitely killed the lip sync, and I guess it's difficult because do you judge it on just one lip sync or not? Because you had such a great track record, but like you said, maybe your personality wasn't shown as much as Priyanka, even though she had been in the bottom twice. I feel like she was shown to have a bit more personality than you did, at least in the edit, not in real life. But
yeah. No, totally. And I think I know, I think it just depends on a lot of different things, a lot of different factors. Whether they think you have the best personality, whether they think you have the best track record, whether who's gonna take the crown further, who's I don't know. Talk to the producers. That's the producer question. Because I would like to know too.
It's true. I think looking at that final three, I thought it was kind of, for me, like you said, it was kind of, I thought it was, you all kind of had a good shot. And I think Priyanka, I loved Priyanka. She was one of my favorites as well as you. Like, I really loved her. She's so fun. Like, I can see why she won in the sense that she has done so much with her title and she's great like representation and she's really funny. But I think the lip sync, yeah, I did kind of think that you won that specific lip sync. So
thank you. That's why I want to get on All Stars. So at least if I go home, I can have someone to blame. I can actually have someone to hate for the rest of my life. No,
it's true.
No, not. Yeah, it's true. I can be like, well, at least it's her fault. At least I can blame somebody.
Well, no, it's true. One thing actually, while we were talking about that, it kind of made me think as well. So Alona also said in that interview that during the Law commercial that you did, obviously you two were paired together. She said that she was surprised that the way it was edited in the end made you two basically look a bit worse than it actually was, according to her. And she said that you were just as funny as like Priyanka and Lemon were, and you were doing basically the same thing. But then when you watched back how they edited the infomercial, they had made yours look worse. So then that's why you got bad critique or like not as good critiques. Is that something that you would agree with?
Yeah, well, the only thing I disagree with is watching the commercial back. I think we did a really good job. I think we killed it. I had Alona so hard with that book, and she like we spit in each other's faces. Like she was like beating me up with that anvil. Like she cleared the whole desk with me. We killed that challenge, girl. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was because of that. And but I think we killed that challenge. And I think we had a really good like Sarah and Saracen. We were the sissies. We like sissy separations, you know. And I thought we did a really good job. And yeah, I think the critiques. I disagree with that because I got really good critiques and she got really bad critiques in that episode, and I didn't understand why. Because I think we were both equally like meshing with each other really well. And we played off of each other really well. And they said that she was like really one note, but I was like, I definitely thought we were really intertwined, and it was like just the right amount of chaos with like a funny script. And yeah, I thought we really killed that episode.
No, definitely. I was confused as well, if I'm honest, by what I was confused that, like you said, you got good critiques and Alona got bad, and I was like, well, they both did the same. Like they were both the same, and
I thought we were great.
Was Canada's Drag Race season 1? The judging was quite heavily criticized after the show for some of the comments they made being quite harsh, and so there was some stuff like specifically about Alona that you know about her body and stuff, and like that all made quite a lot of headlines.
However, when I see that booty and a little turnaround, a little full coverage foundation may have helped you out.
Did you agree that the judging was harsh or just a bit off? Like was compared to maybe what you've seen in season 2 and 3?
I guess so. Like what the stuff with Alona's body, like I just think like talking about someone's like real physical body without hip pads and everything, I just think like is a weird thing. Those are the ones critiques I never understood. Like if somebody wants to wear their own body or like wear a corset or not wear a corset or wear hip pads or not wear hip pads, I don't think it's something that's necessarily should be judged in a competition because that's like personal style. It's not, you know, like what you're going to critique me if I want to wear hip pads. Why are you going to force me to wear big foam, you know, pieces of couch on my hips if I don't feel like doing it myself? You know what I mean? I don't think that's something that should ever be critiqued. I don't know. I didn't really get bad critiques most of my season. so I don't think that it was super harsh. I also think like look back at like old seasons of Drag Race, like seasons like 3, 4, 5 with like Santino Rice and Michelle Visage, like they were mean. Like not like they were really, really mean. And so, like, I don't know, I think people just wanted to villainize. You know, people wanted a villain, and they got that villain from some of the judges. And you know, I also saw it as like you're gonna get judged. You know what I mean? So I think I don't know. You know, it's hard for me to say because I didn't really get a lot of really negative critiques, but I understand like Jimbo because I think some of Jimbo's critiques were unfair. I think a lot of Jimbo's critiques were unfair. I think a lot of Alona's critiques, you know, especially about her body, is unfair and unsolicited. You know what I mean? Why are you gonna talk about my body? You know what I mean? Like, and like she looked hot as and like before she went on the runway, like we were like slathering her ass up with like face and body, and like she looked. So yeah, I just think some things could have been edited out or just like edited to make them not as harsh, I guess. But like things when someone's gonna call someone else out for wearing paper or gluing things to a corset, like, well, yeah, you're gonna get called out on that, sis. And like I said, like the old episodes of the old seasons, like the originals, the OG seasons, I guess, of Drag Race, like they were ruthless in their critiques.
Looking back on it, I think they've definitely softened the US version as well. And maybe the Canada kind of had the same thing, that maybe it's just a learning curve, and every season's going to have teething issues, especially at the beginning. And this was the first season, so it makes for good television. But I guess my thought is always like, I hope it's not affecting the contestants and their mental health and stuff, because that's the bit I worry about.
Yeah, totally.
I'd love to ask, so the name of my channel is Drag Tea Served. So I was wondering if you could serve me some drag tea and maybe tell me a moment that didn't get shown or something that happened backstage that was funny that you would like to share with us.
There was a lot of what you saw got caught on camera. BoBo tripping me in the rehearsal, honey.
So can you tell us a bit? So what rehearsal was that and what actually happened?
Well, Boa says that she didn't touch me, but it was for the rap battle challenge, and there was just a certain foot that was stuck out that wasn't stuck out when the cameras were rolling. And I kind of wish that they would have got it on film, because it was a really funny moment, because I got up and I like lost my on Boa, and so I'm pretty sure the producers were like, "Why did we get that on camera?" I think that was a really big moment, and then because then we talked about the moment a lot, but it was out of context because people didn't know what we were talking about. Other than that, it was absolutely freezing. We were so cold the entire time. There was one moment where we Maison Borrega, me, Rita, and Kiara, we were wearing all the plastic, and we had those little like shaker heat packs in our like panties and our bras, and then we realized they got too hot and they started melting our plastic like onto us, and so then we had to like pull them all out of ourselves, and we were like, oh my god, we have to stay here so cold in this freezing cold hard plastic, because every time we got near a heater or something, we would our outfits would start like forming in a funny way and like cracking and like melting on us. So that was a little added challenge that you didn't see, but we won that week, so it was all worth it.
No, that's an interesting piece of tea then. Like I interviewed Juicebox from your season quite recently, and obviously she left on the first episode, but she said how cold it was, and on that first episode where she had her panic attack, she like had refused to take the blanket off, and she said that it was like solar vortex out, and they had like doors open because they were loading set pieces, and there was just like wind galing, like a gale blowing through the workroom and all the main stage. So I can only understand why you would want heat pads on you.
Yeah, it was cold. I never want to be that cold again.
Well, that's interesting, T. And then speaking of that, I'd love to get on to my subscriber questions.
Yeah.
I had lots of questions for you. The first question isn't technically a question, but they just said, this isn't a question, but can you thank Scarlett, for her verse in You Wear It Well, that kitty cat meow 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 has lived rent-free in my head for years.
Kitty cat, meow, meow, meow. What kind of kitty are you wearing right now? Now we wear it well. Now it's time to raise some hell.
That's so funny. Kitty cat, meow, meow, meow. That's funny. Yeah, well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well, I think it was a really good verse. And I don't know about you, but we sort of spoke about the tripping with Boa, but one of the things I can never help get out of my head, even though you didn't say it, was when Boa in her verse said, Scarlett BoBo looks are a no-no.
No. That it will never go away.
Scarlett BoBo looks are a no-no. Dressed like a clown and it showed in the promo. Try to say the runway, doing it my way. That nose gives me
Everybody yells at me. People have, like, when that came out, strangers were yelling it to me on the street, like, Scarlett BoBo looked or no. And I was like, ah. Even now, people come up to me, they go, Scarlett BoBo looks her, yes. I'm like, yeah, thank you. And I always made fun of her because she goes, looks like a clown, and it showed in the promo, but I was literally dressed like a clown in that runway. So I was like, yeah, thanks for giving me that little heads up, that little bump up.
With that one, so that was obviously the rap battle. Did you know that that's what Boa was going to say in her verse, and were you like annoyed about that, or did you think it was funny?
I knew she was saying it in the rehearsals, so we heard it in the rehearsal. I was just like, well, if you're gonna make fun of something, make fun of, I don't know, I look good. So I was really mad because I was like, it's not true.
I know it is not true. I think the reason it was just because it rhymes. It's like Scarlett BoBo looks or a no-no.
It was funny. Like now looking back at it, I told her I'm still planning on making merch out of it.
That's the way you get them back, is that you take that and you like, success is the best revenge, they say.
Yeah.
Another question that was someone suggested that I was actually going to ask you anyway, because it's slightly, maybe not controversial, but slightly, shady. One time in a Roscoe's viewing party, you talked about an experience with season 4 winner Sharon Needles. And you said there was like some kind of altercation with your mother and her, like getting pushed up against a wall by Sharon. And someone asked, can you like spill the tea about what happened?
I had a really, really, really terrible experience with Sharon Needles. There was an altercation with my mom, and she like pushed my mom up against the wall, and I like leaped at her. I was so mad.
I don't know if I want to really start more drama, but my mom just really wanted to meet her, and we were doing a show in Toronto, and so I was hosting the show, and so I brought my mom upstairs, and Sharon came out of her dressing room and like pushed my mom up, and my mom fell over, and I went totally berserk because it's my mom and I love her, and it was dramatic and silly and drunk, and so I just don't really much like her anymore, which was unfortunate because we were really good friends. Well, I was a really big fan of her. Sorry, prior to that incident, I will say.
So just to clarify, you are talking about your biological mother.
My mom,
like drag mother, because that was the
with my mom.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that, because I saw that in the Roscoe's viewing party, because I always watch them, and I thought that was such like interesting tea, and like everyone was talking about it, and I thought that was so interesting. So out of curiosity, when you say things like that at these viewing parties, which I thought was actually really like interesting tea, by the way, do you get a lot of like backlash or kind of pushback from people? Like, do you ever regret saying stuff at like events and things?
I don't know. Like, I totally forgot I said that at the Oscars viewing party, to be completely honest. So, thanks for reminding me. No, I don't really get too much backlash because I don't really say anything with like malice and like ill intent. I'm not ever really like mean when I talk, and if I'm gonna tell a story, it's gonna be the honest one. And I don't know, like, it's just, I'm not one to just cause to cause. If I'm gonna cause, it's gonna be because I'm hanging off something drunk at a bar, at 3 a.m. Like that's the kind of that I want to cause.
No, it's like it was interesting, T, and like we don't. I think it was just. I think that you were perfectly within your right to tell the story, and also the way you reacted. Like if someone pushed my mum over, I would be really angry.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it wasn't unwarranted, was it? If someone pushed.
Yeah, I'll push you.
So, am I right in thinking that you and Sharon are not on good terms then?
I don't know. I haven't talked to her in years. She probably like, Scarlett who? What? Like,
So okay, so moving on to the next question. This is a question that came a lot. I'm sure you can probably guess. Would you ever do an All Stars season?
Oh, totally. Yeah. 100%. Especially knowing everything that I know now about Drag Race and how kind of like the ins and outs work and whatnot. Yeah, and like put me on because I'm ready, girl. I'm like I'm already like kicking my heels in the dirt. Like, let's party.
And the second part to that question was, if you would go on All Stars, which you said you would, what challenge would you look forward to doing that you didn't get to do on your original season?
I would want to do a musical really bad. Yeah, like I love the rap battle challenge. But every time I see a musical, I like, and the production that goes into it, and all the different parts and the pieces. I wouldn't want to sing live, that's for sure. I would definitely not want to sing live. But like, like the pre-recorded musicals, and it's just such a production. And it's all so fabulous, and and the musicals are always like the most iconic. Some of the most iconic episodes, upwards towards Snatch Game and the Puppet Challenge and the Ball. You know what I mean? Like, other than that, it's like the musical, and so. I think that's the one thing that I really, really wish I got to do as a musical.
No, that is a cool challenge. I like the musicals, and it's said it really does. It's a huge production. It shows who can do, especially if it's live singing. I mean, that's tough, but it really is like one of the most difficult challenges that you can do.
Yeah, totally.
The next question was, someone asked, they said, what was it like getting judged by Brooklyn after having had a relationship with her for years, as in a friendship? They said, Ilona mentioned on an interview with Joseph Shepherd that after the season, Priyanka and Brooklyn were the only ones who had opportunities after the season. Is that true?
Opportunities. How so?
I think she means like work opportunities, because like they were getting. I think Ilona in her interview, because I watch all of the stuff. I think she was basically saying that like a lot of the queens on your season, weren't promoted very much by the club bookers and things like that, apart from Brooklyn and Priyanka.
Yeah. What was the first part of that question? Sorry.
First part was what was it like getting judged by Brooklyn?
Oh yeah,
you've like known her for like you have had a relationship.
That was it was interesting. It took me a minute to like wrap my head around because I'd known her for a long time, but I had to get over the fact that like she's not being mean or critiqued as I'm not being critiqued as a friend. I'm being critiqued because she is in a position of being a judge and I'm in a position of being a contestant. So it took me a minute to kind of wrap my head around. I think Tainomi and Priyanka too, because the three of us, I think, had a close relationship with Brooklyn prior to the show. Like I'd known Brooklyn for many, many years before Drag Race. So I think it was just like an interesting dynamic, and it was something that took me like a little while to wrap my head around. Like, don't be too offended because this isn't like your friend saying something mean or critiquing. This is their job and their role, and I'm in my role, and move forward with that. So, it was interesting to kind of to wrap my head around for a little while, but then it was kind of like this one thing that I was like, well, now I want to impress you even more. Like I want to really, really push myself to impress you more and show you how far I've come as an entertainer, kind of thing.
Yeah. And the second part of the question was the bit about that Ilona had said that Priyanka and Brooklyn were the only people that were getting sort of promoted from the show. Like I've heard I think season 2 of Canada as well said that they didn't think their season was being promoted very well. I was just like, so I guess they're asking, did you agree with that?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, obviously, Brooke is gonna get a little more because she won. But like, I will say, work was hard for us to come across afterwards because we were all in COVID, and I felt it would have been nice to have like more sponsored things that were tied to us from the network or Drag Race, but it was kind of like you kind of had to deal with the hand you were dealt, really.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
so I suppose if let's change the question slightly. Did you get as much promotion as you were expecting, and do you think that Drag Race did help with your bookings ultimately?
I think so. Like, I think we were like, we had billboards in the UK. We had billboards all over like Young and Dundas. We were in Elle magazine with what Dua Lipa on the cover girl. So I think there was a lot of. I think it definitely made us a big deal. Like, I'm sitting in Amsterdam. You know what I mean? Just coming off of DragCon, 3 years after my season, and I'm still well booked. So it kind of just depends. But I also think it comes in waves too. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like we're all very much booked more now. Like, Alona's all over the place. She's doing tons of wicked cool shit. She was in Vogue magazine. You know what I mean? Like, she's been killing it. I just think it was. I think the timing, because we were like the last season to film before COVID. I think the timing of everything was just really, like, really, really shit. I remember when we heard of COVID and we were like, wait, what's gonna happen with our season? Like, are we gonna have to watch this from home? And me and Alona barely got a viewing party, and I think we did like 3 of them together before everything went to again. So it was just I think the timing was just really
Yeah, it was definitely when COVID happened. Obviously, it was bad for everyone. But one of the things in at least Drag Race, I felt so bad for a lot of the queens that were on seasons that were affected by COVID and still are affected, because obviously Drag Race is this massive opportunity you don't get very often, and so when you do get it, you want to do as much as you can, make the most amount of money, get the most amount of bookings. And if everywhere's shut, then it kind of sucks. But I'm glad to hear that you went to DragCon. You were you always had people at your booth where people obviously know you. So I'm glad that Drag Race has like changed your life, I guess, in that sense.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely given me a nice kick in the ass.
Someone asked, you've got many tattoos. Can you please tell us what the meaning of one of them is? The most beloved one, the most recent one, or the most painful one you choose?
My most beloved one is my tattoo of my mummy on my arm, and probably the one here, which is my best friend in the whole world that passed away. Her name is Lina, and me and my 3 best friends all got the same tattoo for her. And my most painful, probably under here, under my arm, or my chest. I just got one on my chest, which is awful. And what was it? My beloved, my painful, and
beloved, most recent, and painful.
Oh, most recent was I got my daddy's girl tattoo for my new single. Yeah. So that was what me and my fiance got the matching ones, because we were just in Turkey, high on painkillers, getting our teeth done, and we're like, let's get as many tattoos as we can handle while on these pain meds. And then the Daddy's Girl music video just dropped, so I was like, oh my god, let's get Daddy's Girl tattoos, and we did. And everyone can go ahead and get them if they want. They're really cute.
No, it's nice to hear, like, hearing the story about, like, that's, a tribute to your friend and then your mother and stuff. Like, that's, like, it's lovely you've got, like, that there's a meaning behind it. And, it's...
Yeah. A lot of my tattoos have really strong meaning behind them. And they're all, like, my little stories. But then there's some that, like, are just completely random, you know, that I'm just like, I want that one. But then those are still stories because I still remember where I got it, you know, what I was doing, who I was with, and you know. So I think all my tattoos are my little stories that I picked up all over the world, which is nice. Like I get tattoos everywhere, all over the world, and they're like my little. It's like my body's like my little scrapbook.
Yeah, is there a tattoo? Is there an area of your body that you wouldn't get a tattoo on, or a type of tattoo that you would never get?
No. No, I'd get a tattoo pretty much anywhere of anything. Yeah.
You know, you see some people have it across like the face, and like obviously that's quite difficult to like.
Oh yeah, maybe like I don't know because I get so much. I mean, I get so much good work done on my face. I think I definitely want more around my head. I think those are really cool. But I think like I maybe like this part of my face I wouldn't get done. Like anywhere else other than right here, I think I would get done.
Well, thank you so much. I'd love to get onto my quick fire round of questions. So it's
Hell
just
yeah.
5 like silly questions. Some are drag related, some are not, but it's just sort of like quick fire, first thing that comes to your mind.
Cool.
So, lipstick or lip gloss?
Lipstick for sure.
Yes or no, pineapple on pizza?
Absolutely yes. Yes.
Favorite emoji?
This one.
Cocktail or champagne?
Cocktail.
And can you summarize your drag race experience in one word?
Chaotic.
Thank you so much. It's been so lovely speaking to you. If
Thank
people
you.
want to like hear more about you, like where can they find you, like social media, and do you have any projects you want to talk about?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Snapchat, and what's the other one? TikTok at its Scarlett BoBo. You can go check out my link tree at It's Scarlett BoBo, and you can check out my brand new single and music video for Daddy's Girl. It just released and it's amazing. I'm working on my newest album with So Fierce Music and Velvet Code, so I'm very, very excited about that. I've got a track coming out with Landon Brawley, DJ Frustra. I'm working on a tour with a very incredible good friend of mine, Michelle Tracy, who is a Canadian icon. So we're in the works on something really cool over there. Possibly like with the band or so I'm really, really excited to do that. I'm moving to LA in April, so I'm going to be hitting the ground running over there, doing a bunch of crazy shit. And yeah, getting ready for this big album release. And I feel like I already should start preparing for DragCon LA because I'm like, let's start preparing now. So we're completely ready for this. Yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff going on. So keep touch in my social medias and follow me and go tell World of Wonder that you want to see me on a new season.
We definitely would. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed speaking to you. Like, it was lovely hearing the answers to your questions and spilling some tea. And I really do hope we see you on All Stars, because I would just love to see more of Scarlett BoBo, because your looks are a yes.
Woo! Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so
Love
much.
You.